This is Seaside Chats with Kenneth Arthur, previewing the Seahawks and the Jets in their Week 4 matchup at MetLife Stadium. I feel like I always have to say at MetLife Stadium now, because if you say in New York, the name of the team, some people will correct you and say, no, it's New Jersey. Then name your team New Jersey. I know why you don't do it. But if you say New Jersey, that just sounds stupid. So you just say they're playing in MetLife Stadium. Fix your team. I don't care what you do. Rename the team, move the stadium, connect New York and New Jersey into one state. We don't care. We don't really recognize a difference anyway. So figure that out as soon as possible. If I come off as a little bit more intense to begin this episode, it's because technology is a lie and it's all bullshit. Earlier this week, I tried to record an instant reaction podcast on SoundCloud. That didn't work. I recorded for 30 minutes and all lost. So, of course, now I'm going to record everything on YouTube. Did that. Now it's all lost. And we're starting over again. So great job out there to SoundCloud and YouTube. You're doing an excellent bang-up job with all of your technologies, and it's super user-friendly, and you don't have errors all the time. And your customer service and ability for technical support is top-notch. No sarcasm whatsoever. Oh, yeah, Seahawks and Jets, let's get into it. Right now on this episode of More Than 3-Minute Thoughts, we're talking about Ryan Fitzpatrick, the quarterback of the New York Jets, and Chan Gailey, the offensive coordinator of the New York Jets. The fact that these two were brought together is no coincidence, as Chan Gailey and Ryan Fitzpatrick were head coach and quarterback of the Buffalo Bills from 2010 to 2012. When Todd Bowles was brought into the Jets scheme into the Jets fold in order to help build their team last season, he had Chan Gailey and Ryan Fitzpatrick, and they brought them in to be his quarterback and his offensive coordinator. Why not? You look at it and you say, hey, that was successful, right? I mean, the Bills went 6-10 every year, so it must have really worked, is according to Todd Bowles or Bowles. And so here we go. They said, let's bring it in. Now, to his credit, Ryan Fitzpatrick set a franchise record with 31 passing touchdowns last season, but overall, not that great. Ryan Fitzpatrick, of course, threw the 6 interceptions last week against the Kansas City Chiefs. But even then, it's not that surprising. Last season, he has a passer rating of 88, below average for 2015. He threw 15 interceptions. And in his one playoff game, quote-unquote playoff game, because in Week 17, if the Jets had won against the Buffalo Bills, of course, he would have sent them to the playoffs and been the playoff quarterback for the first time in his very long career. That didn't happen. Became a free agent and had the big off season holdout of sorts of like, you better pay me as a starter. They said, well, we know that's not right. You know that's not right too, right, Ryan? And eventually came to an agreement on $12 million. Now, here we are with Ryan Fitzpatrick, and he leads the NFL in interceptions with 7. He's completing 55% of his passes. He has a passer rating of 59.3. And, here we go. Is the Jet starter in Week 4. Now, should they have turned to one of their other 3 quarterbacks on the roster? I'm not saying that they should have. Geno Smith, Bryce Petty, and Christian Hackenberg probably all would have done bad. Maybe that's a problem, though. You got 4 quarterbacks and not one of them is good enough to start. A lot of teams have 2 quarterbacks, and one of them's something is going on with any one of them. But you can't hold on to that many guys. You got to know that not all of those guys are going to work out, and probably none of them are, right? Maybe Christian Hackenberg in 3 years, but then what do you need the other 2 for? It's a real conundrum there. But to the Seahawks' benefit, they will be facing Ryan Fitzpatrick. They will be facing not Eric Decker, who's out this week with a partially torn labrum or rotator cuff. And so they face the Seahawks. Now, when's the last time that the Seahawks faced Ryan Fitzpatrick, the quarterback, and Chan Gailey, the offensive coordinator? 2012. You may remember that Russell Wilson was coming to his own at that time, had the first half of the season not that great as a rookie, but then really coming into his own in the second half, and the Seahawks started blowing teams out. The Arizona Cardinals 58-0, the San Francisco 49ers 42-13, and then of course they go to Toronto to face the Buffalo Bills at the Rogers Center, and who knows what could have happened at that time. The Buffalo Bills didn't have a good team, but It's on the road. It's an unfamiliar environment. And the Seahawks had some good wins, but certainly we're not the team that we had become to know them in 2013 and 2014 and so on. That being said, 14-7 lead in the first quarter. They score another 17 points in the second quarter. The Seahawks score another 16 points in the third quarter, and they're up 47-17 going into the fourth quarter, end up winning 50-17. And that was against Ryan Fitzpatrick and Chan Gailey. Now, obviously, the 50 points, a lot of that is dropped on the Buffalo Bills defense. Russell Wilson throws for 205 yards and a touchdown, but he rushes for 92 yards and 3 touchdowns. Marshawn Lynch rushes for 113 yards and 1 touchdown. But Ryan Fitzpatrick is 21 of 38 for 217 yards, 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions, sacked 3 times, and has a passer rating of 58.8. Basically the same passer rating that he has right now this season through 3 games. So it's reasonable to assume, because a lot of those same things are the same, right? For the Seahawks, they've still got Pete Carroll as the head coach. Chris Richard is the defensive coordinator now, as opposed to Gus Bradley then. But that being said, Chris Richard's been with Pete Carroll for so long. They're doing the same things. They're not going to have a problem with Ryan Fitzpatrick. I would not be surprised. My prediction for Ryan Fitzpatrick this week would be something along the lines of 23 of 40 for 181 yards, no touchdowns, 2 interceptions. That's what I'm looking at for Ryan Fitzpatrick. So the offense for the New York Jets should struggle to score. Now, as far as the defense goes and whether or not they'll allow 50 points, it certainly seems unlikely, especially with the Seattle Seahawks offensive line having so many issues, the uncertainty of Jimmy Graham once again, Tyler Lockett perhaps not being ready to go out on offense once again. You know, there are certainly problems there for the Seattle Seahawks offense. Though you could argue that Doug Baldwin is so much better than he was back then. Jermaine Kearse is better than he was in 2012, of course. Kristen Michael is playing well. And C.J. Spiller, coincidentally, rushed for 103 yards and a touchdowns against the Seahawks in that 2012 game, signs with the Seahawks this week. So he'll be playing for the other guys this time around. And will it be 50-17? Probably not, though I do think that there is a good opportunity there for the Seahawks to not allow any touchdowns. They haven't allowed a passing touchdown this season. They've allowed just 3 total, 2 of them coming in garbage time against the San Francisco 49ers. So I think going up against the Jets defense without Eric Decker and going up against Ryan Fitzpatrick, who has struggled so much, that there's a good chance they won't allow a touchdown to the Jets offense. But they'll need to do something against the Jets defense, which is allowing an NFL high 9.2 yards per attempt, pass attempt. And I think that that's going to give opportunities there for Russell Wilson to have a good game. But I would be shocked to see Chan Gailey, who you could call the Ryan Fitzpatrick of offensive coordinators, call a good game or call a winning game against winning in terms of being able to move the ball and score points against the Seahawks defense, currently ranked number 1 by DVOA.